If you're staring at 50 different attributes in your Google Shopping feed and you feel completely overwhelmed, then you're actually looking at the problem all wrong. For the last 10 years, I've lived inside these feeds. It's one of my favorite things to do in Google Ads, but I also don't have unlimited time. The key isn't to try to optimize everything. It is to split the work into two distinct jobs. One is the feed hygiene, and the other one is what I call the true feed optimization. Now, hygiene is your foundation. It's a pass or fail. Things like your GTIN and availability, brand, color, etc. Your only job here is to be 100% accurate. This doesn't make you a lot of profit. It doesn't even do a lot to your overall visibility and everything, but it just stops you from getting disqualified before the game even starts. And there's an even bigger impact of this over time, which I'll share in this video. Once the hygiene is done, then you almost never have to touch it again, and we can jump into optimization. But 90% of the work with feed optimization is done in the first go. And in this video, I will show you how to take the chaos out of feed optimization and make it so simple you just think, wow. Let's jump into it. There's a why behind feed optimization, and the number one thing is increased visibility. A better feed means Google understands your products better. Adding all the attributes for a given product means Google understands the product and knows when to show you in this query, when it knows to show this kind of value, and more importantly, as we move into an AI first world, it will be able to take all that context that people will search for. I want to have a plantar fasciitis friendly CrossFit shoe that's black, that's less than $100. It can take all of those queries and that context and use the attributes from your shopping feed to find the right products recommended at the right time. The second one is, of course, like writing keyword-rich titles is still, even though that's what we did 15 years ago when this started, it's still Google's best way to initially understand what search queries to rank your products on. Another one is creating a strong product taxonomy. Think men's shoes, sandals, then hiking sandals. It makes it easier for Google to understand the relations between products and when category of product does well for you, and it can then have a spillover effect on the other products in that category and show it more because, hey, hiking sandals are overall doing great. Let's show you other hiking sandals some more. We don't know what Google will use in the future when it comes to all these attributes. And that's one key thing about the hygiene aspect of feed optimization. We don't know how Google will use everything in the future. Right now, Google is pulling in the brand and the material and the size and the color into the little product card. And we don't know what else they will use. We don't know all of a sudden if they'll start using the energy efficiency rate. We don't know if they'll start showing the bundle price better. We don't know if they'll start showing the unit price better. We don't know if the energy efficiency class of a fridge will start being more important. We don't know all these things. That's why you should just add all into it. Another reason why you should optimize your feed comes back to campaign structure. For instance, if you don't have a strong product type taxonomy, then you can't trust your product type values for creating your campaign structure. And again, the same applies to every other attribute that you want to use to split up your campaigns by. So again, this all comes back into feed optimization. We're going to jump into exactly how we do this. I'll break it down into two crucial stages. First, I'll cover what I mentioned before with the feed hygiene. It's an essential non-negotiable foundation. Then we'll jump into the feed optimization, where we can use the values and the attributes that we've added during the feed hygiene stage. And there we can then start optimizing and start doing better. Now let's start with the actual feed hygiene, where we do the core feed build out. Because optimizing a feed means two things. One is to add all relevant attributes and then optimize individual attributes. And this is where simplifying the process really, really works. And this is what makes me much better at optimizing feeds than many others, is because I don't get confused by these two aspects. Adding all relevant attributes, yes, is a feed optimization, but we don't have to optimize all of these different attributes. They are black and white. Is the brand attribute filled out correctly? Yes or no. Is the availability in there? Yes or no, etc., etc., etc. And the way I do this is that I use a Notion template. You can use a Google Sheet, you can copy this, you can do whatever you want. But the key here is to go in and have a list of all of the different attributes that are. Here's all the attributes, here's all the advanced attributes, and descriptions of all of them. What I didn't do is I just and this takes 5 minutes. I go through my feed and I go, what's the status? Well, it is exists and like the ID exists and it's optimized. Is the condition there? Yes or no? You would be surprised how often a Shopify feed into, for instance, Channel, Data Feed Watch doesn't have condition because Shopify doesn't put it in, and 10 Data Feed and Channel don't do it by themselves. So you're gonna go, okay, that needs to be optimized. The GTIN is missing, brand is missing, availability missing, price exists and optimized, image link is already good, the link exists optimized, etc., etc., etc. And then you can go into saying, okay, this will then automatically go in and only show you the fields or attributes that you need to optimize. And then I can go in and I can just go, you know what? So let's say I have all these things. And this one is, at the size is not relevant. Identify exists, it's not relevant. Let's say I need to do that. I need to get this and this. Adult is not relevant because I don't sell sex toys. Unit price major is not applicable. And then we go in and then we just sit and we go, okay, I need to add condition. I need to add GTIN. I need to add brand. I need to add availability. I need to add gender, etc., etc. Super duper easy. This is really the key part, to just make this as simple as possible, because we will split this up. Let's then go into saying, okay, let's say the title. That I need to optimize. It can be done better. Description I can do better. Our product, our custom labels needs to be done better. Okay, the condition, I'm done with that. GTIN, I'm done with that. Brand, I'm done with that. Availability, I'm done. Description, done. Done. And now we can then go, okay, these are the 3 attributes I just need to optimize. Another aspect of going through this is so you can go through yourself and say, what's the importance? I haven't put the importance in from the get-go because it changes a little bit. Obviously, anything that is required when we're saying we go through this is just required, and it's an automatic high priority because you can't run a feed without it. Now, when we start coming down to some of these, it becomes a little bit more meh. But the way that I've structured these is required, recommended, and use if relevant. Again, required, which I've gone through, no need to go through that again. Recommended, I do recommend using sale price instead of just overriding price when you have a promotion. I do recommend having additional images in your feed if you have them. I do recommend adding shipping. Normally you'll do it in the merchant center settings unless you have a lot of countries that you're running or there's a very big difference between the different products. Go with product category, again, recommended, custom label recommended, etc., etc., etc. And then there's these so down to product type, this is for everybody. It's recommended or required for everybody. Now, some of these down here become required in certain cases. So if we take apparel, then color, size, system type, and just the size, material, and gender and age group are all very relevant. So for those, I actually say it's still required for you to do. But this then means we can go through everything one by one and make sure that they get added. And this is the big chunk of the initial time. For some of you, this will be super simple if you already have the values in your system. If you don't have these values, if you don't have these attributes in your e-commerce platform, this starts becoming an issue. GTIN is one of the big ones where people go, I don't have it. And that's an issue. So the reason why GTIN is such an important attribute is that it links your product to another product that your competitor is selling. So if you both sell the same Nike shoe, Google will use that GTIN on your competitor's product and on your product to say, this is this product. So there's like a big product card that you can get into. There is some things in the Google Shopping marketplace you can get into, but there's also the sharing of data. You share product ratings. So if your competitor has a particular Nike shoe that shows up with 500 reviews, you get the same. You get the exact same reviews because it's a product review. It's a product rating. So it has nothing to do with the store. There's also some learning that takes place at the GTIN level. So if a competitor have a GTIN and a competitor have that GTIN on the same product, then Google will learn from the competitor into your account and on your account or to your competitor. Not in terms of performance, but just this product is relevant to be shown for these search queries. So if your competitor has this product showing for this search query, then you should probably also, because it's the same product, and then it will bundle some learning there. It has nothing to do with your account performance, your smart bidding, how much you should bid for it, just whether or not this product is eligible for the search query instead of just relying on the title. So that's something that can be really, really important. Otherwise, it's all about just filling them out. And again, some of this can be difficult if you don't have it. So try to go in and then say, once you have attributes to optimize, you can go, you know what, this is a high priority. Once you start getting down the line, you go, okay, I need to fill some of these things out. Unless you have thousands upon thousands of products. And even then, there's 2 things I want to say. One is Using AI can actually be really, really valuable. You can often get the AI to read what the color is in terms of creating either regex expressions or simply just using some of the AI features that, for instance, Channable or other feed optimization tools have, makes it super easy. Start off, just do all your hygiene work. Make sure you get everything in there, because you'll see it in a second when we start optimizing the titles, product types, etc. Once you get as much data in here as possible, it'll be much easier to optimize the rest of the values. Now we get to the feed optimization part, where we improve individual attributes, and I usually split this up into two. So we have for improved visibility, and we have attributes that we optimize for analysis and campaign structure purposes. Now, if we start with the title is, in its most basic form, a way for you to add keywords you want to rank for. This, again, like I've said before, we've done this forever. And the way to do this overall is to think of all the different attributes you have in your feed and you need to add them to the title. However, you want to make sure that you front load the most important information, because titles do get truncated, which means they get limited for how much they're shown. And that changes. For instance, if I'm a reseller and I sell Nike running shoes, then having Nike as the first part of my title works really well. If I'm a DTC brand and I only sell my own private label brand, that has almost no importance and should just either be at the end or not there at all. The same thing goes into all the different attributes that you have. So if I sell a medium-sized t-shirt, there is no reason to put medium in the title. And it's something that gets often very confused when people just go in and go, you know what, look at all these attributes I have. I will just take my title and I will go brand plus title plus gender plus model plus color plus size plus material, and look how cool I am. I created a product title, but it doesn't make any sense. 90% of what I just mentioned, nobody searches for in this particular industry. It's very, very different from industry to industry. Nobody searches for a model number in apparel. A lot of people search for a model number in electronics or spare parts. A lot of people will search for the brand if it's a known brand. Nobody will search for the brand if it's not a known brand. We want to think through and rank the different types of searches or categories of searches and the different attributes, and based on, do we want to put these into the title? If you have very few products, again, I go less than 100, I'd even like to put in and say, okay, let's get AI to write all our titles from scratch. It takes about a couple hours to go through, make sure you qualify it, but that's another way to do it. I see two types of mistakes when it comes to optimizing product titles. Number one is overdoing it, like I just mentioned, and the second mistake is not doing it at all. If you need to make a mistake, if you're worried about overdoing it or underdoing it, overdo it. It has a minimal impact on your CTR if you overdo it, and it has a huge impact on your overall visibility if you don't optimize your titles at all. The second thing you should optimize for visibility is a little bit out of left field, but it's product ratings. Now, there's product ratings and seller ratings. A seller rating is your store reviews. That's what you can see on your search ads when you get ratings in there. But product ratings is something else. It's a review specifically associated to a product ID. And that's a completely separate feed you need to send in through the Merchant Center. Go a lot of detail with the product reviews, but let's just start with the basics. In order to be eligible to get product ratings, you need to generate and send 50 product reviews in total, not per product. There's a little thing here, into the Merchant Center in order to get access to add the product ratings feed. Once you've added 50 product reviews, you have added the feed with your product ratings. This will give you access to ratings inside of product ads. I find two things here. If you only have 52, I often go, don't do it unless you're selling products that everybody else is selling, because once you generate the 50 product reviews, then you enable product ratings. And like I mentioned before, you get the same ratings in as the next guy for the same GTIN product. But if you sell your own private label and you upload 50 in total, and this product has 8 reviews, this product has 3 reviews, it really makes me think, there's not that many people who are liking this product. So in my opinion, unless you have a strong review base, don't add product ratings until you have them. Third one to optimize is images. And I've put it in a little bit low on the list because it is typically a nice to have. The way that we optimize it is that it can be a product shot versus a model shot. It can be a close-up, or it can be a completely different photo. And again, I call this a nice to have. The fewer products you have, the better you can test this, because it can take some time to find a new and better picture. But if, let's just say you have 1,000 products or more than 1,000 products, then it becomes almost meaningless unless your hero image, the main image that gets sent from your e-commerce platform, is really, really bad. So here's an example of something really, really bad. If we look out to the left, we can see that we have beard growth kit from Copenhagen Grooming, and they're also selling the same product or similar products through vendors or retailers. As we can see here, it's not the exact same product because there's a price difference, and that has also to do with how many days of supply there's in there and stuff like that. However, if we just take that part out, that is a different product, then notice that you can barely, like, I've on purpose not made it too big here, because if you look at this from a mobile phone, or then the product ads in Google are pretty small. Can you see what it is on the first image? I can't, and I know what it is. Can you see what it contains? And it's mainly to do with that stupid black box that they have put in as a background. This works really, really well when you look at the big image on the store, but it's much better to see the second one where you see, okay, this is Meta's and this is what is actually in a similar case. Then you can see Copenhagen Grooming also sell with Meta's and with Nice Hair, and from Apropos all the way out to the right, where you see this red box with the white products inside. This works well. You can like see there's different things, and there's 3 to 4 things, and it's a lot easier to see. I'm still saying that the image can be optimized, but compared to the primary main image all the way out to the left from Copenhagen Grooming, this is a really poor image, and that's an example where I would go, you know what, we have to improve it. Another thing I just wanted to mention here, you notice how Meta's and Nice Hair and Apropos has the same product, and Meta's and Nice Hair have the same amount of product reviews on the product. That's not because they have accidentally sent in the same amount of reviews for the 2 products in their individual merchant centers. That is the total amount of ratings that Google knows exists for this GTIN. The reason why it's not being shown for Apropos is because Apropos does not have access to product ratings yet. They have not sent in product ratings that they themselves have generated, so they don't get access to the total pool of product ratings. Now, the next one is description, Google product category, and product type. Let's just try to go through these a little bit fast because they're not super important. The description is usually pulled from the website. Many people will say you need to optimize your descriptions. I haven't optimized a description in many years. In most cases, it's not really important. Mostly the description you get from the website is more than enough. Like, even though there's some evidence that Google looks for keywords in the description, so there's something you can do here, but don't waste your time. Again, I don't think you should spend a lot of time there. I haven't optimized the description in years. The Google product category is kind of the same thing. Generally, Google is good at choosing the Google product category for you, but I've seen examples where Google choose the wrong one. In my opinion, that shows that the algorithms in Google have miscategorized your product, and that will have an impact on what search queries your product is shown for. Titles will enable you to override this, and that titles are the most important factor for where you're ranking. But if Google is saying that this sofa is a lounge chair, that's one of those small inconsistencies that over time can start adding up. Now, the product type is a rather new attribute to be important from a visibility standpoint, but slides from training at Google have shown that the product type is used on the front end, which again means that it's used for visibility. So creating a strong product type structure that includes keywords at every level can have an impact on what search queries you're shown for. Now, I have seen this be way overdone, where you take your product type and you make it basically unusable from an analysis standpoint. And that's the other main reason why in Savvy we've always optimized product types, is to do proper product analysis. It's simply just easier to have a really good taxonomy that groups all shoes at the same product type level, the same subcategory, etc., etc., etc. It makes it really easy to analyze what the product performance is. And again, it also helps Google understand what type of product this is and what search queries you should show for. And when performance goes up one, then the rest should also go up and work together and all this stuff. It works well. But if you, as an example that I've seen, you have a product and you add 4, 5, 6, 7 different levels, unless you're really going to use those additional levels, don't overdo it. Like, you don't have to to overstuff keywords into your product types. It is overkill. Now, the second part of the optimization part is for analysis or campaign structure, and this is where custom labels come in. Custom labels have nothing to do with visibility. Adding keywords to it have no impact whatsoever. Google doesn't look at how they're being grouped together, like with product types and brand and stuff like that. So don't worry about any of that part right now. My favorite custom labels are bestseller, like categorizing if products are bestseller or not, and also the opposite, if it's what we call a saboteur, where it's an unprofitable product no matter what we do from a smart bidding perspective. My other favorite is if it's on sale. Again, grouping products individually, whether or not it's on sale or not, and also just understanding how much to do seasonal bid adjustments when you do it makes a lot of sense. The price range, I like it because again, you can say, okay, how do this high AOV product actually perform? Then it starts becoming more of a case-by-case basis, like seasonality, whether or not products should be excluded, whether or not it's new, what the margin is, what's the delivery time, like really look at what your business is, because that's where it really comes into handy. When it comes to optimizing your feed, there's a couple of ways to actually do it. And that's not what we're not going to go into details around it. Just wanted to touch how to actually optimize it and what software to use. Now, you can manage feeds manually, like with Google Sheets or directly connecting to the Merchant Center. Then there are third-party tools that can help automate and scale the process. I just want to say there's no value in just running your feed through a feed optimization tool and not applying any rules. You need to apply rules. You need to actually improve and change the attributes that goes from your e-commerce platform into the feed tool over to Google Merchant Center. If you don't make any changes inside the tool, it doesn't work. Just sending it in through a tool doesn't have an impact. So some of the most common options on the software side is Channable and Data Feed Watch. And if you're a smaller brand that is already on Shopify, something like SimProcess does a good and simple job. If you found this video helpful, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for more e-commerce tips and Google Ads. And I just wanted to ask you, what's the first thing you're going to optimize in your feed? What's the one thing you're going to implement from this video? Let me know in the comments below.